Damn, son, where'd you find this?
People don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any other narrative that makes them look bad.
One thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who act like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
Guys, Chico, they never lie.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late, they cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
Peace, blessings, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. It's good to be here. Shout out to everybody in the building. I hope all is well. I hope you staying cozy, warm. I got the team in the building, man. Shout out to them. Shout out to my writers, my poets, my content creators. Yeah, we gotta talk. We gotta talk. You see the title. I got a clip. I'm gonna pull up here in a second. Do me a solid, like, share, repost, let the people know we live, we in the building. Let me get everybody up on the screen, man. Check the temperature for the night, see how everybody vibing out. Let's see what we got. Yo.
What up?
What's the word? How we feeling?
Popping, everybody.
Doing pretty good. We're going to be leaving for Texas tomorrow morning. So we were going to leave tonight, but I couldn't miss. So
I appreciate you for pulling up.
I like the hat, by the way. You're coming in with the cool hats lately.
Oh, I have a collection. You know, I pull them out when it's necessary. You know what I'm saying? I got a clip I want to bring up on the big screen. And it's going to segue into tonight's topic. Initial thoughts, so on and so forth. You already understand the program, whatnot. Let me bring this up here real quick. I'm gonna change the format. Let's do this. Let's see. All right. Let me get this up here. All right, I'm gonna let this play out, and then we'll go from there, man. Let's see.
So now tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. So I took this girl to Trulux and she orders the prime ribeye medium with the king crab truffle butter. It looked amazing. It looked amazing. She doesn't finish it, puts it into go box. We end up leaving. I drop her off at her place. She gives me the weakest side hug ever. I was like, all right, I can tell. Like, I'm never probably going to see you again. I was fine with that, but cool. I get to driving up the street. I'm probably like 3 minutes up the road, and I see her calling, and then I look in the back seat, and I see the to-go box. Am I wrong for putting my phone on do not disturb? I hit her back once I got home, but am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Right.
I like the fact that you
right.
did that. I like the fact that you did that because the way she treated you, right? When she got out the car, and you got to be able to read body language. You got to understand mannerisms. You understand in that situation, she knew she didn't like you, but she basically saw you as the food guy. You were the food guy. I'm glad you kept that meal, young bull. I'm glad you kept that meal.
Yeah.
You got to understand, never date the women you like. Don't chase after women you like. Date the ones that like you. It makes the transition into doing what you want so much more smoother and peaceful. Women know they have no interest in those type of individuals. They're really not attracted to them. But, oh, wait, you want to take me out? Oh, a free meal? They're definitely going. They're definitely going. You got to be able to decipher the two, especially a woman that would say, we have to go to certain restaurants. We got to go on a certain outing for it to be considered a date.
Yeah.
That's a red flag in itself.
Yeah. I think the thing is, but he picked up on it earlier. He said she gave him the weakest goodbye ever. Right. It probably meant that he wasn't going to see her again. So he picked up on it. Maybe it was a little bit too late. She had already got the meal out of, because it's hard to tell, Ocho, because like, let's go out to eat. Yeah, I want to get to know you, so forth and so on. So everybody's saying all the right things. It's not until you actually get on there, you get to talking and everything that you like, nah, this is probably not it.
Yeah. And you know what, one thing, and I hate, and I can share this, because of my dating experiences, the one thing I hate about dating or meeting someone new is you never know who they really are, because all you're meeting their representative.
Correct.
You meet everybody's representative, and you never know a person's true colors until things aren't going well. It's easy to be in love. It's easy to be all happy and when things are going right. When the situation itself is beneficial and it's convenient, but you never see a person's true colors until shit goes wrong.
True.
And that's when you know who you really have. And I hate that it has to come to that for those true intentions to be revealed.
All right. So here's our thing. First, your initial thoughts on the video, and then my second question is, why is it that we have this era of transactional marketing amongst men and women? True or false, do women only date men based on what they can offer them? And do they pour into a person depending on how much they can benefit from the other person? Let's start with Sydney, man. Watching this video, listening to this brother's story at the beginning of it, and then you hear the commentary at the end. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What's your take?
I do agree that there are women that come into a relationship with that mindset, that go into dating. I think a lot of them are raised with that perspective. I'm not saying like a lot of women across the board. I'm saying like a lot of those women that come into the relationships thinking that the man is the money, the man is the resource, they were raised that way. I don't think it's something that a woman is just going to suddenly in high school, she's gonna be like, you know what, I'm going to start using men for their money. Like, I think it's definitely something that parents are teaching them, parents are instilling into them, and are kind of instilling at an early age. But I don't think it's in all women. I don't think women across the board have this mentality. Granted, I don't even know if it's on the rise. There's probably a relationship between like consumerism now and the idea that somebody needs to be your resource. There's a lot more people in debt today. There's a lot more people that can't afford to live. The cost of living is really expensive. So I know that there are a lot of people that do have that mentality, but I don't think it's all women. I think there are a lot of decent women out there that are like 50-50 types or just don't really have that expectation. There's a lot of women out there too that are like hyper independent, where they're like, I don't need somebody to support me. I can do this myself. If I find a man that drives with me, then sure. But I don't think all women are like that. But unfortunately, I do think that there are women that are like that.
Zay, let's say you're this brother, and this is the interaction between you and her. Is this a conversation you had with her before the date? Did you go into this assuming that the chemistry was there already? Did you go into this initially with the understanding that nothing more is going to come out of it other than just a date? How do you see yourself in this situation where she pretty much took you for a free meal and went on about her way?
Honestly, I feel like if I was in this situation, I probably would just talk to her about it and be like, hey, I don't think this is right for me because now you're just using me. And I don't like being used. So I feel like I'm gonna have to let you go. Because when a relationship becomes transactional, at that point it's transactional. And at that point it feels like it doesn't feel like the balance is there. It feels like you're putting more work than the other. And they have this like fixation that you are going to do everything for this person. And I'm not that type of person. So I only put energy if it's reciprocated, me personally. So if it's not reciprocated, yeah, I'm going to have to tell her, I'm going to let you go.
Coach, can you detect if a person is genuinely into you at the beginning stage before you get in your car, put gas in it, get dressed, put on the smell goods, set up the restaurant, get the table? Can you automatically tell beforehand, prior to arriving at this place, if this is going to be more than what you expected? Or do you even go into this expecting anything out of it?
Yeah, I think that's probably the better question is, do you walk into it expecting something out of it? Again, you probably should have had that conversation prior to, so you should know what you're walking into. To buy somebody dinner and complain about what they had, what they ordered, run down the menu, you probably shouldn't have took them to dinner. It's probably something that you might have been out of your price range, or you probably had some expectations that wasn't articulated prior to. That was probably your bad. If you're looking to get something in exchange for dinner, I think you probably got some low self-esteem or some low standards. And then you didn't want to give her the plate. I'm thinking if you went through dinner, because both of y'all both had to be there, so you had to be a part of that conversation to realize that that shit wasn't going the right way. So then there shouldn't be any surprises at the end if he says at the end of the night it was a cold exchange. I'm sure she probably led to that and showed the signs leading up to it. I don't think that it was just kind of spur of the moment type thing. And again, depending on how petty you want to be, to put on do not disturb for some leftovers, that's completely up to you. You know, again, that's just probably something that should have been communicated. If you didn't think the date was going that well, probably should identify it and probably should have went separate ways. But again, that just goes back to communication. And then your part two was everyone dates someone based on what they can offer. Absolutely. If you don't have anything to offer, then what exactly are we talking about? So you have to bring something tangible to the table, or there's probably not a mutual interest. So you absolutely have to bring something to the table.
Rob, what do you say to a specific group of women who say, my presence is everything that you need? We're both benefiting because I'm here sitting across the table from you. I agree with everything everybody else has said. Like, basically, you want to know going into this what it's going to be like. I don't go into a date expecting sex at the end of it. I go into the date expecting to get to know the person a little bit. I want to know if this is going to be something further afterwards, or if it's just, oh, I kind of misjudged my initial assessment of your attraction. Yeah, I saw you. You look good, but listening to you speak, yeah, it's not going to work out. But a lot of people already got it in their mind what they're going to do going into it. So, based on what you saw in the video, and for those who say it's automatic that I'm supposed to just pay for the date, and Coach said something that I thought was interesting. It's supposed to be a mutual exchange. We both here for a reason. Are you still? I guess I'm asking too many questions at once. You said something to me about that the other day. Let me just stop here. What's your initial thoughts? Because I'm going on to other stuff.
All right, I'm all over the place too. I got to be politically correct tonight. This is what I know. Women will have 2 or 3 people that will give them what they want. They'll have the plumber, the car fix man, the electrician, the food man. You know what I'm saying? So it depends on where you fall in that list. On the other hand, at the end of the day, if you're in a relationship, if you're mature, you're going to spend money regardless of what. You're not. After you've grown up and you realize what it takes to have the lifestyle you want, 9 out of 10 times, I'm thinking you're not going to mess with somebody that cannot contribute to your lifestyle. So you're going to spend money either way. With that, men pay. We pay. Whichever way you slice it. Don't have to be straight out, whatever. We pay for everything. And that's where a lot of the women come from, to where, hey, I had this guy that did this and that, so that's what you're going to do. Now, to your very first question, at the end of the day, I don't even mess with my own family members like that. it ain't nobody in my life no more. I cut all of that off to where you feel like your presence is my blessing. I don't even rock like that. That's a big headache. I don't care who it is. It could be my mama. At the end of the day, if you're not pouring into me like I'm pouring into you, I must separate. You know what I'm saying? I had to learn that the hard way. And that's this coming from a person that chased women for years. So I think with that conversation, taking the food back or whatever, you know what I'm saying? That was petty because if you got something, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, too, some people be so disrespectful. A lot of times that you got to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? So if that's how he felt like he was right, it wasn't right. And that's the good thing about dating, right? Because clearly you dodged the bullet. You know what I'm saying? Luckily, he probably saved his own life, stopped from a headache, or he could have been the headache. Because if you thinking like that, you know what I'm saying? Clearly, that wasn't supposed to make it. But no, nowadays, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Right now, at the end of the day, though, if you're getting in a relationship, both people are paying. I don't care which way you slice it, and I know now that I'm thinking again is that we pay. Like that's why we get the big house. That's why we get the big car. That's why we get the jewelry. That's why we get the clothes. You know what I'm saying? Until you realize, okay, you can't take this stuff with you. But at the same time, ego is a big thing. So, that's just what it is.
And Sydney, let me ask you a question. Who's at fault for going into these situations, knowing that there's a likelihood that you might not get out of this what you expect? Like, sex is not promised at the end of the night. We should all know that. I mean, come on. It's pretty much a gamble anytime you step foot out the house in general. But you don't know these people. You're just going off of initial attraction. You want to find out if there's something here, but just because you spend X amount of money on something, that does not mean that you're going to get anything out of it other than maybe a subpar conversation or a nasty attitude or someone with their face in the phone or they recording for TikTok. Who do you think is more responsible for being disappointed at the end of the night?
Well, first, I have a couple answers actually. Definitely the two people in the couple, because that is definitely a sign of lack of communication, a lack of understanding of each other's expectations. Truthfully, when you get in a relationship with somebody, you should be as forward as possible, because we are definitely I guess because of like romance films and whatever, like people want the like mysterious person that like they want the mysterious special relationship that just like unfolds, and I don't know, they like romanticize everything. But realistically, we're kind of in a day and age where you have to be as transparent as possible. You have to be honest with what your expectations are. All of this like bait and switch type of behavior is not conducive for a healthy relationship. A lot of people kind of get into the relationship hoping that if they don't voice what they need or want, it'll just magically appear to them. There's not very solid, a solid grasp on like socio-emotional health in this country as well, which I think contributes to it. People don't exactly know how to properly interact with each other. And so we're kind of left with two sides trying to either thinking that they're communicating effectively and they're not, or they are just flat out not communicating effectively because they're hoping the other person is going to read their mind, or they're even like afraid to share what their desires are. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why people wouldn't divulge their entire expectations and hopes for the relationship, but I think that's a key component to that issue is definitely the two parties that are involved in the relationship. But I'm going to throw in two additional ones. The parents and the friends, I think, are also problematic contributors to this type of issue, because again, you have the parents that are raising these kids to not have a very deep understanding of how to maintain relationships. There's a lot of parents that don't pass on very healthy habits, which are then embodied by the kids in their dating lives. You have them not teaching financial health and personal safety and all sorts of different tools and habits that are very important for relationships. And then you also have people that are friends with people who aren't actually friends with them. I mean, who aren't real friends, I should say. They're there because they get to hang out and drink with them and do things with them and whatever, but they're encouraging difficult behaviors from their friends. They're telling them to like get with this man just to sleep with him. They're encouraging them to get the bag, and like how friends can be. They kind of egg you on and encourage you to do things that may not be within your character. I've had friends like that were trying to like encourage me to just sleep around, even though that was not my personality at all. But they're saying that, oh, it's going to better you because then you'll have confidence and all this BS. I'm glad I did not listen to them. But it's like the social circles as well. I think that also kind of contributes to this almost deceptive type of behavior that we exhibit when we first get in relationships. So I think it's a lot of components, but fundamentally it is the people in the couple not either being aware of it themselves or doing it knowingly, being deceptive and not showing their true selves at the beginning of the relationship, expecting that it'll all just like iron itself out.
I got a question for the people, and this is for anyone. You can answer this. If a man expecting something in exchange, like the woman is expecting something in exchange on the date, but only the woman gets something out of the date, is it really a fair exchange? I see you nodding your head, Zay. Go ahead. You got it.
I don't think it's a fair exchange because, we're all there for connection. So, like, if one side is there for any other reason other than connection, I feel like the whole thing is, the whole foundation from the start is messed up.
What about you, Coach? How you feel about that? Can a person call it fair exchange if one party is getting the actual meal out of it, but the one who's paying for the meal isn't getting actually what they wanted out of it? Is it still equal?
I guess I mean, I don't know what the person is looking for, but like in the video, I don't know exactly what the guy was looking for. Again, if you going in there, you dangling food in front of somebody's face that you want something, I mean, you're probably not gonna get what you're looking for, because that's, who the hell want to be propositioned for food? I mean, I don't understand, right? So again, if it's expectation management, if you're talking about this stuff prior to, then I don't really see what the issue is. Again, you gotta factor in the human factor. You can talk yourself out of something. So you could have walked into the situation and everything could have aligned perfect. The moon, stars, quasars, and everything. The meal could have been going great, and your conversation could have just been trash. And somebody could have disengaged on either end. So you could have walked in, I guess, because we keep focusing on equal, but that's misguided, because this isn't a perfect world where every time you do something with somebody, the shit works out and it's equal. So there's give and there's take, there's push and there's pull, there's a yin and there's a yang. So I think if you're walking into dinner with so much high expectations on something, that's probably an issue within yourself that you need to self-evaluate and probably ease up off the throttle a little bit because you seem to be a little too uptight. Maybe focus on just getting the positive experience out of it. Maybe your expectations are too high, and then you just didn't articulate your expectations to the other individual, because it's hard for somebody to satisfy a need that they don't know exists. You understand what I'm saying? So the guy just emphasized again about how fantastic the food was and how extravagant the meal was, and it sounds like he was kind of upset that she ordered what she ordered, and then I think the entitlement came with him because she ordered a certain meal. He probably thought he was gonna, or he should. He probably thought he was entitled to receive something on the other end. But again, if you're giving something with the expectation of receiving something, you have the bad intentions because you're not doing it with pureness and for the fact that you just want to give or shower somebody with a said gift. So it's probably the individual who's giving something and your expectations are a little bit too much.
Same question to you, Rob. What does that look like to you? Is it a fair exchange? Is it more or less what everybody else said? How you feel about that?
Think about Jamie Foxx. What was that movie? He said, if I get you shrimp and lobster, so I gotta be politically correct tonight. You keep throwing them doozies on. But it's 2025, man. It ain't just, back in the days, you might could come up like that. You know what I'm saying? And I done been on both sides of it to where some I lost, some I won, but I don't think right now, from what they're hearing in the music and all that, and the videos and all this and all that, you got to do a little better than that, player. You know what I'm saying? And
Great point. What's the age demographic then? Because you said since it's 2025. So who's the demographic we talking about?
Man, for that, you probably have to be a teenager right now, man. These grown up, man, listen, they taxing, bro. You know what I'm saying? I ain't finna hold you like it's a tax, bro. Chicken wings is $30 a pack now. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you're gonna have to come with it. You know what I mean? And they hearing, I need a Birkin bag and I need to be flown out, and it got to a point to where it was like nobody makes $2 anymore. You know what I'm saying? There's no nickel and dimers no more. There's nobody trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. So everybody want to be rich. And I tell you what the unfortunate thing about it is, that a person with nothing can want something. And again, a lot of the toxicity comes from the fact that people pay. You know what I'm saying? People pay. And it's not even just a man thing. Women will do it too. To get what they want, they will pay for what they want. You know what I'm saying? We put the emphasis on men because it makes it, that's just a tradition. But again, women pay too. So I think, you took her out for a steak and all that, and that's what you thought you was finna get. Like I said, it's a new day, bro.
If you Chris Brown, they gonna pay 15.
Listen, he charging 1,000. So they say, I don't know, but he charging 1,000 for a photo shoot just to meet him, bro. Like, and they're paying.
Exactly. Risking their relationships and everything. They're not doing that for no regular dude. Fuck no. They're not about to do that for no regular dude. And one thing I do want to say, because I really haven't said much. I don't know in what universe or in any time span where a dude did not go out with a female unless it was business related, and even then they didn't think about sex at the end of it, or the thought of it being a possibility ever. oh, I'm just going out with you because you're funny and you have a cool personality, and I just want to dance. And come on, man, stop that. I understand what you're saying though, bro. You don't supposed to just automatically assume that you're going to get some at the end of it. I said that earlier. You don't. But let's be honest, nobody is being completely transparent about their intentions when either the dude liked the woman more than she liked him, and he's going to pretty much trick off and spend all his bread on her, and she's looking at him like they both sized each other up. She know who he is. He don't know himself, but he want her, so he's going to go out of his way to try to win her over. Essentially, he's paying for it, and she's going to oblige to it. But I don't know. I personally, right now, I'm just going to have the conversation with you before we step out the house. I don't want to burn my gas and waste it. I don't want you to be on. Nah, no. If you ain't rocking with me, you ain't rocking with me. I'm cool with that. You can go ahead to the other people in your Rolodex, and you can hit one of them up. Y'all can do the thing, because what the brother in this video, what he did essentially was expose himself by saying he led with his wallet. She took the meal and she went to somebody else. And in 2025, I don't think anybody who is single is single. So when everybody is out here dating, you probably just need to automatically prepare yourself to be number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. You're one of them. You're not the one until they decide whether or not they want you to be the main one. I yield the mic.
This is more of a joke, but in reality, most people are selfish, so everyone's always going to be number 2. The person themselves is always going to be number 2. I'm mostly kidding, though.
Nah, you ain't lie. Listen, man, ain't nothing free. Never was, never will be. You know what I'm saying? It's a transaction. If that's what you expected or whatever, then you should have had that clear. If you're disappointed, you know what I mean, then that's really your loss. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, like I said, in 2025, you might could have got away with a little Red Lobster trip, you know, back in 1990 or something. But these girls, they want you to come with it. And I always err on the broke side because I ain't have it for a long time. I was mostly poor. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't have it. So I let you know straight up. Like, I ain't, you know, I cook for you, whatever. You got a shirt on my back, but, you know, I don't have it. So, you know, what you get, what you see is what you get. And that's where the expectations come into where, hey, what are we doing? That should have been in the conversation. And even at the end of the day, if you, that's part of the game. Like when you chasing, you know what I'm saying? That's part of the thing. Like, okay, you ain't get what you want. You either got to come harder next time or you got to keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? I don't see no reason to do nothing petty though. Because if anything, once you took the food back, now you really, you out of there. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, Sydney, most people are selfish until they find that person, or not even when they find that person, they still selfish till they grow up and you learn what it's like to sacrifice and negotiate. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you know, you should chalk it up. Hey, you won. You feel me? Like you won. I mean, the food, I don't know, but if that's because this is what I learned. Okay, I used to be like this. And I'm gonna say this real quick so I can get it back up. I used to be like, I'm gonna get this Versace, I'm gonna get this Louis, I'm gonna get this Gucci, And I ain't gonna have to say nothing when I get in the club. They just gonna want to leave with me because they gonna see I'm styling. But then when I learned over time, if that's all you want, then that would be the most superficial headache I could ever have in my life, because that's all you into. You're into me for things that are disposable. And if that's all you want, okay, you like me because I had the $500 sneakers on. Most of the people that I knew, you got the $500 sneakers on, but you living in a hut. You know what I'm saying? So if that's all you want me for, if you're not into me for who I am personally, my character, my personality, then at the end of the day, it's a waste of time, and I'm gonna end up losing, because when I can't afford that stuff, you're gonna be mad. Or if I change like most people do after they get married, a lot of times you think that everything is gonna stay the same. People change, and you can't do the things that you normally did. I'm gonna be the one who lost. So, you know, I understand both ways, to where, okay, well, you better be whining and dining or whatever, but at the same time, you will hope that a person will wine and dine you back.
I'll just say, what if she left the food in the car as a play and told him to bring it back? And then he just dropped the ball by not following up. Because again, everybody keep talking about this cutoff culture shit. Nobody is really talking about, you know what I mean, the fact that people don't necessarily communicate in person as much anymore. So the interpersonal communication skills and the problem solving skills aren't necessarily there. But this cat and mouse game, because that's what y'all keep talking about, is the whole chase, the chase, the chase. So again, if the gentleman in the video didn't fulfill his obligation, you know, conversationally, and so she was like, all right, I'm gonna give him another try. I'm gonna leave the food in the back of the joint and tell him to bring the food back. You know what I'm saying? Because again, that's part of the chase. And she says, hey, bring the food back. He's in his feelings, he's emotional, and says, forget it. And then now he never knows if he had an opportunity or didn't have an opportunity. So again, the point is, by following up on that and then, you know, circling back with the communication piece, he might have could have sealed the deal by taking the food back and then probably, you know, playing some old, you know, good guy type role. But I'm just saying, again, it's so many pieces where the communication loop is broken, where something could be, again, with people having problem solving skills, you just pivot one way, and now you just completely showing her a different side of you that you probably didn't show a display when you was having dinner. So again, I'm just saying he didn't give himself the opportunity. He just cut himself completely off at the feet.
I think both parties are getting played, to be honest with you, but men are getting played more. I do. I really, truly believe that, because from my own personal position, I'm going to treat you based on how you dress, how you talk, and how you present yourself. That matters to men. If you lead with your body, you're going to get treated as such. If you act ghetto and all the other, you're going to be treated accordingly. There, you know, the double standard with how a guy can sleep with multiple women and still love his main woman more than he actually cares about the other ones. Well, women can go on dates and extract from the person on the date without even caring. They will automatically already know before they go on a date who you are, what they want out of you. Now, I'm not saying everyone is like that. In some cases, you're right. You might talk your way out of it. Your breath might stink. You know what I'm saying? You might spit a lot. You just don't know how to articulate with her type of energy. Like there's people who operate on a high vibration where they're kind of energetic, and you have to be able to balance that. And then there's other people who are more soft-spoken, more laid back. There's things that have to be somewhat neutral there, and you might just don't connect with them on that level. But a lot of times, just like we know if she's just for a one night stand or not, women know if you are the same. They know if you're someone that they can call at 2 a.m. in the morning. They know if you're someone that is just going to listen to them, blah, 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 blah. Then they know if you handy around the house and you can fix and cut grass. And they know if you are just good for meals. I think it's a lose-lose on both sides, specifically because, in all honesty, and this is my question, the communication is gone, like you said, and you have a bunch of dudes that's going to just keep on leading with their wallet. There's no way around it. And as long as they do that, because they're too worried about running that particular person off, you're going to continue to get this same story over and over and over again. But let me ask this question. This is the one. This is another one that I jotted down. What does the dating pool? And I'll turn it over. I want to hear what Zay got to say about this one. We go around though, but what does the dating pool look like if everyone was 100% no bullshit? This is what I think. This is what I actually believe. This is actually how I perceive. If everybody was just straight up honest about what they wanted out of the person, what would the dating pool look like now in 2025? No bias, no sisterhood talk, no echo chambers, no political jargon, none of that. You just say, look, man, I want to fuck, I want this, I want that. They just honest about what they want out of it. What does the relationship or the dating pool look like if everybody is just transparent?
I feel like the ocean of people will be there currently mixed up with all different types of, sharks, fishes, seals, penguins, anything you could think of. Once people start being honest, people will be assigned to the right group, if that makes sense. It will be less cat and mouse, less chase. It's more intention, more passion behind people's intentions. More honesty. I feel like the dating pool will be, people will be more aware of what they truly want out of their time and put their time towards places that actually benefits them instead of wasting everyone's time.
Let's go with Sid.
Can you repeat the question just to make sure I remember exactly what your points were?
Transparency, no politics. This is what I want. This is what I expect. Nobody is sugarcoating what they really require out of the other person. What does the dating pool in 2025 look like if everybody is completely honest?
I mean, honestly, the world would be a much better place in many, many respects if people were far more honest. It would definitely extend beyond the dating world, but specific to the dating world, we probably would have a lot more people not only realistic with their partners, but realistic with themselves. Because I think a degree of the dishonesty is also within themselves, where I think a lot of people are going off of what they see on social media, what they see from their friend groups, what they kind of are taught to expect from their parents, but that don't actually reflect who they are inside and what they actually need. I think a lot of people just don't even understand what they need. They haven't done any soul searching. They haven't spent enough time with just themselves alone to understand who they are underneath. We're so distractible today, to our friends, to social media, to all sorts of stuff that we have to worry about, school and you name it, work. People don't really get the opportunity to understand who they themselves are. A lot will bubble to the surface when you allow yourself to be completely alone in silence and give yourself the chance for your thoughts to come up naturally. But most people don't do that. So if we had a truly honest culture, honest with ourselves, honest with each other, the relationships would be far more resilient, I believe, because one, people would be selecting relationships that actually matched who they were inside. They would also leave relationships that were not compatible for them earlier, as opposed to just denying that something was wrong, thinking that, oh, all I have to do is push through and it'll get better. People would likely be more faithful in their relationships, because they'd also be honest about, because a lot of people cheat because they're trying to find the better person than the one they're already with. But if they were honest about themselves, they would have ended that relationship. They wouldn't have even gotten in that relationship in the first place, or they would have even been honest with themselves about the fact that maybe they aren't a monogamous style person. And it would save a monogamous person who gets with a non-monogamous person from the pain of having to deal with all that. And I think lastly too, the character compatibility would be a lot more in sync. People would be finding people that actually match who they are, what their direction in life is. And like, I've heard so many stories of people getting in a relationship with somebody they know doesn't want kids, but they want kids, and they're hoping that, oh, well, they just have to, like, they'll learn to love it. They'll learn to want to live this lifestyle. I'll be able to convert them into whatever lifestyle this person thinks that they can convert them to. And it does not work that way. You can't just will somebody into accepting a life that they themselves don't want. So I think that honesty would definitely improve the compatibility of people, would improve the relationship outcomes, and it would also reduce the number of people getting into relationships that were inauthentic to who they were. Granted, you're always going to have people that make mistakes, but I definitely think it would improve the dating atmosphere. And I think theoretically it could possibly even reduce the relationship failures overall.
Well, what about you, Coach? The world, is it a better place? Everybody honest, everybody operating under this, I'm gonna just be completely free and I'm not gonna have no pressure on me. I'm just gonna tell y'all what I want. Women tell men what they want, men tell women what they want, and we're talking about a perfect world. What does that look like to you?
I don't know. I don't believe in perfect worlds, man. But I'll say people are honest. They just need to be educated on what healthy relationships look like. That's one thing people is honest. Whether people like the result or they like the answers or whatever it is that people give them, the problem is they are honest. Now, whether they got the right information or they're armed with the right information or the right resources, that's a completely different story. But I don't think it's about honesty. That's the problem, is people are too honest. That's why we know everybody's information. But whether we agree or disagree, that's completely different, because it's subjective and us looking at other people's interpretations of what they're going through, but they're openly and honestly expressing all of that stuff. And that's what the hell social media is doing right now. So it's more of an education piece than an honesty piece.
Rob, do you agree?
People will save a lot of headaches. Now, the only thing that I wouldn't think is that people change. So what you think you want or what you think you need one day could be totally different. Who you think you want, who you think you need will be totally different the next day. I believe there's somebody for everybody. But to your question, it would make a lot less headaches because I see Chef going crazy. Shout out Chef too. And I've been listening to you in the bar and I hope you keep going. For real. Keep dropping that fight. At the end of the day, we hide our intentions because we know what we want. And then unfortunately too, men, we don't think with our heart, like in our brain, like women do. Right? So a lot of times when we chasing, we think we got what we want. And then when we get our mission accomplished, we totally change and be ready to move on to the next hunt. Right? And a lot of times women, when they finally commit, they're pretty much show up for the rest of their life. You know what I'm saying? So, well, maybe not the rest of their life, but they be sure to a point where I heard that women know what they want to do with you within the first 5 minutes of talking to you. It would be great because then you won't have the drama. You got what you wanted and then you start ducking. You block the phone number, you know how we do, we give different names. You know what I'm saying? You give a different name, you got what you want, woo, woo. Or you lie. A lot of times we be lying. Da 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 da. Yeah, the grass. You think the grass is greener. Woo, woo. So that would make life a lot better because then people could know who they dealing with, and you won't be let down or disappointed because you already knew what to expect.
All right. Let me give you. I got you, Zay. Let me give you a unfiltered, unsolicited version of this. Less men would have sex than they already do. More women will be fighting over the same dude. Period. If we go off the statistics, if I have to pull them up, I will, but I don't think we really need to. Most women are chasing after 1% to 2% of the same guy, the same archetype of guy. Most men already aren't even getting any type of attention in the dating pool. Honestly, the dudes that are tricking off on women, they just pay for it. They just call 1-800 whatever, or they would get online, they would connect with your local brothel. That would be their relationship patterns. They wouldn't. There's no chance in hell a guy who always led with his money would get a relationship out of someone who never saw them as husband material. And it ties into something that Chef said. Most people are in survival mode. I scrolled up and down threads today, just today alone, and everybody is talking about they're in survival mode. And these are women that's saying it. It ain't men, it's women saying, I'm in survival mode. I hate being an adult. People not all, but there's a group of folks that lie. They have circumstances going on in their life. The pressure is on them. They need results. They need answers. They don't know how to go about them the right way. So instead of being transparent about their situations because it's embarrassing or it's humiliating, they would rather manipulate the situation in order to get leverage over something that they have no control over. A lot of men will go to the ends of the earth to get a hug, just to have somebody smile at them, just to have a woman touch them. So I don't think that the dating pool would get any better. I think it would just be modern prostitution. I mean, at this point, you might as well call it that, because on one side you got dudes saying, man, I ain't doing all this just so, and the woman is saying, well, shit, you expect me to open my legs up to you, but you ain't, but really you're only saying that because the guy that is asking for it, he's not really your type. The dude that you actually want, he doesn't have to spend $1 million on you. You're going to do everything for him automatically with little effort. So the dudes who struggle already, you telling me if the dudes that struggle already is just straight honest about what they want, that them same women who chase after Chris Brown and Paul George and NFL and NBA players and musicians and TikTok stars, you telling me them same IG models, them same women are going to listen to them dudes and say, "Oh, you're just being completely honest with me. Oh, I'm moist. Let me go ahead and be subservient to you." I don't think it's going to happen like that. They would probably more likely leave the country and go somewhere where they are actually appreciated. You're going to get that group of men. They're going to leave the West. They're going to get treated better. The women that are left here who honestly tell you, look, man, you got to be 6'5", 6'6", all that shit. You got to make this, that. They're going to be fighting over the same dudes, and it's going to get ugly. But see, that's my take. I don't really think people can handle the truth as much. Oh, one thing I do want to add, shout out, bro. You said that most people are honest. I agree, but I agree that they're honest through their actions, through their body language. I don't think they're honest through their words. Because you can say whatever the hell you want to me all day, but when you do the complete opposite of what you say out your mouth, nah. So you gotta trust actions over words to me. So I yield the mic if anybody wants to chime in afterwards. I mean,
yeah. Hey, look, you said again, like I said earlier, when you ask these questions, you got to be specific about the demographic, because you guys use generalizations, all, most, some, and then you say TikTok, all this social media shit. That don't take up everybody in the world. So we can't use generalities and just only talk about people who post themselves on social media and say that they're the ones representing for the culture and for majority of the people. So we just got to kind of tighten it in a little bit, reel it in as to who the hell we actually talking about, so we can kind of get better information and just have a better control of the demographic. Because you can't talk about people on social media, man, who's out there doing things with ulterior motives. You know what I mean? And that don't drive the culture. But I understand what you're saying. But we definitely got to, figure out who we talking about so we can kind of give better examples. Instead, we start talking about, groups or case studies and all this other stuff. It's just more or less who we talking about, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I can't speak on behalf of anybody that's on social media. Most of the people on social media got a fake name, a fake picture, a fake everything. So we can't talk about them being open and honest about anything when they aren't even themselves on social media. So again, I when we start, talking about, people and just, who our target audience is, we just kind of hone in and just maybe lead out by saying, folks on social media or folks in, certain areas, or maybe folks in the community, stuff like that, because we're giving out a lot of generalities. And just for the people that's watching, you know what I mean? It does sound kind of crazy. We all kind of giving out, personal opinions and ideas and stuff, but just so we're talking about the same demographic, because I think we all in agreement. If you want to use that community, then absolutely. You know what I mean? 18, 19, 35, whoever's posting their lunches, their dinners, their meals, all that kind of stuff, the thirst traps and all that shit. Yeah, I agree with you 110%, but we just got to make sure we talking about the same stuff.
Well, shit, I ain't.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm not talking about Angela Lansbury and fucking Taylor Swift and them. You know what I'm saying? Shit. But I hear you though. Go ahead.
Look, but we all come from different, and so that's what everybody, diversity, right? We talking about diversity, equity, inclusion. We got 5 people on here talking about, different things from different walks of life. So if we're going to provide an input or something, we got to find a commonality, you know what I'm saying, to talk about. Because if not, we all going to seem kind of crazy saying we think this and we think that. Real funny with the APA shit. But yeah, I'm saying, as far as for knowing who we talking about, yeah, you know what I mean? Be a little bit more in control of that. Because again, I'm not talking about anybody when we talk about honesty and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's real easy to hone in on if we specifically talking about on social media. So, I just a little bit more context once we start, continue diving into it.
I just wanted to add on, it's also going to be different with the generations, because generations that rely on social media heavily are going to have very different demographics than people in older generations. And there are still people that are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that are dating. And I would argue that they probably statistically, obviously this is without referencing any data, I would, just from how they were raised, they probably have more authentic dating lives than people that are heavily reliant on social media. And of course, there's going to be differences too with people that are heavily on social media versus people that are not. So yeah, I do think that it's important to kind of specify which population we're talking about, because it is going to differ based on like how old you are, where you're raised, how you're raised, and how integrated you are into the social media world. Because definitely like TikTok people are not, and there's subgroups of people on TikTok, but like TikTok is different than YouTube, is different than Reddit, is different than Blue Sky and all the other like Twitter and stuff like that. So there's definitely a lot of differences.
No, yeah, great point, Sid.
Again, kind of like what I said at the very beginning, not all women are going to be the same, because there's a lot of women that are fighting back against the system. They don't like how the dating atmosphere is. There's a lot of men that are like that, where they don't like how the dating atmosphere is. And so they're making movements to either be voluntarily celibate, they're making moves to be more conscientious with dating. I've heard of groups of people that are starting to revert to older forms of dating, like in the 40s and 50s, where they're going for more like courting style dating. So I think that I think what's pushed on social media, what's pushed in common culture, at least in like the social media atmospheres, like the influencers, I think those are the ones that really reflect a lot of this behavior that we're talking about. But I think the average person that isn't as visible on social media probably isn't as trifling, as my mother-in-law would say, as the rest of the dating atmosphere. So
Zay, you was trying to say something, Zay.
Oh yeah, go ahead. You got it.
Uh, yeah, I mean, basically, what I wanted to say, I was agreeing with Coach and what Deep was saying because um, I feel like there's a lack of being. There's so much honesty. I was actually thinking about it as Coach was saying. There's so much honesty out there that there are less things that people are keeping towards themselves, you know? And I feel like doing that when you're going into whether it's a date or, a relationship, you're going into it, you're speaking your soul truth, but the other person might not agree with that truth. So they find different ways to sabotage your path. That's why it's important to keep some things to yourself. Not like, yes, be realistic and show your intentions, but don't give too much of yourself either, all in the first go, because that's how you get hurt. I'm learning in Bible study right now that validation is from the enemy. It's not from God. It's from the enemy. And a person who seeks validation on the first go of the first date, you're doomed to fail. You're doomed to fail. So don't seek validation. Seek truth. Seek your truth. And you don't have to give too much of yourself to seek that truth as well.
I'm glad you brought that up. To be honest with you, when you meet somebody and you find them interesting and you want to take that chance and get to know them, it should be about enjoying each other's company. This isn't, I know, we have it set up to look like it's a interview essentially, but I don't want that on my back. I want to have fun. I want to laugh. I want to, just be human and see if it go anywhere. I don't really have the energy to be trying to decipher all of this other extra unnecessary stuff because we have nefarious intentions. Let's just keep it right here and see where it go. But I would say it's probably best that a lot of people practice celibacy. I think right now, with the way people are moving, you are probably better off taking care of your mental health and making sure that you know what you're doing when you step outside back in that population. Because we might think one way, but everybody is not going to move in the same directions that you are. So, uh, yeah, I think there's ways that you can figure out if you're wasting your time or not. The question is, are you willing to take the L? Are you willing to just be okay with the fact that that person isn't for you, and then move on until eventually God puts you with somebody that He actually wants you to be with, that's actually for you, because everybody is not for you. We out here forcing ourselves on everybody. It don't work like that. That's why all these diseases exist. That's why people crashing out so much. That's why folks are envious and jealous and constantly competing. I agree. Validation is one hell of a drug, bro. One hell of a drug. Like it's so bad. And I'm gonna stop here. Let people do their final thoughts. I done covered two stories. TikTok, two TikTok women They just had to record. They just had to record while they were driving. One woman killed a 54-year-old, 54, 57, because she was on TikTok, and you're not supposed to be live streaming while you're driving on TikTok, but she just had to be in front of the camera. She killed dude, and then the other one, she crashed into somebody's car because she was on TikTok. So yeah, I don't play around with it. I don't need it. It's not that big of a deal. Shout out to Chef. Shout out to Arcana. Shout out to Michelle. Everybody in the chat though. That's crazy. That's crazy. The world right now is out of control. For real. One more go around. Anybody want to say something before we close out?
A great topic, man. I think it's important that like you mentioned, to acknowledge everybody's truth, and then to acknowledge the fact that, we need to stop and have a conversation with people just to make sure we all understand each other, because I think that so many things get lost in translation. It's because everybody's quote unquote trying to live their truths, and then like you guys already mentioned before, is it might not necessarily be the version of them that's actually them. They're just trying to live somebody's truth from something else that they've seen online, or whatever the case may be. But I think the end all and be all is just the conversation piece. You know what I mean? Having that conversation, and then just trying to understand each other. Because again, people might be telling their version of the truth, and that's what we have to realize is their version. You know what I mean? Just try to be receptive, try to be understanding, and then problem solve, work the problem. Stop cutting people off and just try to help each other figure it out.
We, in general, I mean, anybody who's dating or honestly in a relationship, even if you are in a relationship currently with somebody, we have to remind ourselves to be as authentic as we can, because we can even ruin our relationships by remaining inauthentic and by not being honest about changes in ourselves, because we have to be honest with ourselves that us as humans, we're not objects. We're not going to stay the same throughout our whole lives. We're going to change how we think, how we believe, how we behave, our virtues, values. Oh, a lot of things will modify over the years of existence, because that's what it does. That's what reality does to us. And we have to be honest with the people in our lives, because when this is the type of stuff that makes relationships fall apart, when we stop being the person that they know and we are lying to ourselves about it, we're lying to them about it. We have to be very upfront and forthcoming with the people in our lives about what we're going through, because they notice, they detect it. If you're going through emotional turmoil, if you're experiencing mental illnesses or physical illnesses or whatever, like, we have to remember not to close ourselves off from other people and not pretend that we're fine just for everyone else, because they're going to still pick up on this. And these are the types of things that will cause emotional turmoil and relational turmoil, because they're going to either, depending on what type of person they are, they're going to either blame themselves, they're going to think that you're doing something because you're now acting suspicious, or they're going to be unhappy that you're being distant, and all sorts of issues can come from being dishonest about who you are and how you are and how you're feeling. So this definitely applies to more than just people that are dating, but I think it's especially important in the early stages of relationships to be as honest as possible, because this is when you're developing your foundation. It's when you're really getting to know each other, letting the other person get to know you, and for somebody to properly identify if this relationship is going to work out for them long term, they have to know you truly. They have to understand what they're getting into, whether or not this is a person that they can maintain a relationship with, whether you have a common trajectory. Granted, you don't have to be the same exact person to have a successful relationship, but you should at least be on the same path. Kind of as I mentioned earlier, like some people lie about wanting kids because the other person does or doesn't want kids, and they're just hoping they'll convert the other person. Even like religious ideology issues, where somebody might expect that, oh, I just can convert them to the religion that I am because that's what matters to me, even though they don't care about the other person. So there's a lot of things that you have to pay attention to and be mindful of when you're of being honest with. Like, if things are truly important to you, you should not be hiding that from a potential partner, because eventually those are going to cause problems down the road if that's something that you want and they don't want, and neither of you are willing to budge on. So yeah, overall, like, be as forthcoming and upfront with the person you're dating as possible. Be honest about your intentions. Be honest about what you expect from the dates. Not only will it save you from like leading somebody on, but also from disappointment, because I know a lot of people expect something from a date and they don't get it, and then they're all mad and bitter because they're like, oh, I thought it was going to be this and I didn't get that. So it'll only help you. It'll only help your partner to be as honest as possible. And again, it applies to everyone. It'll help your friendships. It'll help your relationships with your family members, with your children, just to be as upfront as you can.
Rob, Zay, you good?
Nah, listen, actions speak louder than words, man. And we say this almost every other episode. Get to know who you're dealing with, who their parents, who their cousins, who their friends. You feel me? Watch what they say, watch what they do, and learn every single thing you can about them. Because again, like Sid said, like we said, people change every day. And then be upfront. If that's what you want, say what you want. That'll save a whole lot of headaches for later. I'm with Zay with the privacy. You know, you can't let everything, all the cats out the bag but at the same time, just say what you want. You know what I'm saying? And then we could go from there. That'll save a whole lot of headaches.
I just wanted to say, make sure that you are actually aligned with the dating world as well. Don't go out just because someone told you to. Actually make sure that you're ready for it as well.
Real talk, real talk. Hey, look, we about to get up out of here, man. Love this conversation. Appreciate y'all for being here. Everybody, from the comment section to the panel, start to finish. Beautiful. Sydney, be safe on your trip. Coach, I'm glad you made it. I know you had a flight and everything. Hopefully everything was smooth. You know what I'm saying? Zay, you take it easy tonight, man. And Rob, same to you. To the rest of the people in the building, man, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night, man. If you're not following, make sure you pull up and come hang out with us. We'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. King Table. Tap in. Peace and blessings. We out.
Have a good night, guys.